After Kevin was born, Nathan quit his job right away. Nathan, who called himself a travel writer, barely worked and lived off my earnings, driving around the country at his leisure. One evening, Nathan returned from his travels with a young woman holding a baby. "This is my lover, Chelsea, and our child. You can have our son. We're getting a divorce." He was demanding to divorce suddenly with a harsh snort. "I'll come back to pick up a petition for divorce of marriage in a week. Make sure you've prepared it by then." A week later, Nathan and Chelsea showed up again, and Kevin and I told them, "You can't divorce Mom. Because the car's price, $80,000. You haven't paid it back yet." Nathan's face twisted. "Besides, Dad, you've been living off Mom's earnings. Maybe you should wait to divorce until you can support yourself." Chelsea looked puzzled. Nathan stammered his excuses. I smirked to myself. "Now Nathan, it's time for you to pay for all the freedom you've taken. I'm Olivia, a 50-year-old housewife. I live with my husband Nathan, who is the same age, and our middle school son, Kevin. Nathan and I met through an acquaintance and started dating. Always confident and lively, Nathan was great at conversation and very charming. Spending time with him was always fun. I thought it would be wonderful to share my life with someone like him. I was thrilled when he proposed at a stylish restaurant. But less than a year later, I regretted getting married. We should have kids soon. Given our age, yes. We were blessed with a honeymoon baby, and I was over the moon. Looking back, that might have been the happiest time. Suffering from severe morning sickness, I couldn't clean or prepare meals, but Nathan never complained and took care of me. "Olivia, can you eat chicken soup? How about white fish? Fruits are good for you too." Nathan, who wasn't good at cooking, bought ready-made soup, meals, and fruit from the local supermarket and brought them to my bed. He would eat his meals in the dining room to keep me from feeling sick and would come to collect the dishes and wash them. On weekends, he also did the laundry and cleaning for me. "Nathan, sorry for the trouble. Thanks for everything." When I thanked him, Nathan smiled and gently patted my head. It's only natural for spouses to support each other. Remember, you're not alone. He was thoughtful, kind, and a full-time employee at a major company. I truly felt fortunate to be married to him. However, the end of our happiness came suddenly. Early one morning, I went into labor, and Nathan took a day off to take me to the hospital, waiting outside the delivery room for our baby's birth. Eventually, the baby was born safely. The midwife approached Nathan with the baby wrapped in a swaddle and said with a smile, "Congratulations. It's a healthy boy." At that moment, Nathan's complexion changed. "Wait, it's not a girl? It's a boy." Nathan's expression, which had been full of anticipation, turned into one of deep disappointment. Once we were in the hospital room, Nathan sighed deeply and muttered with a frustrated tone, "Ah, a boy." At the time, I didn't realize the seriousness of the situation. I comforted Nathan with a wry smile. "Nathan, you were hoping for a girl, weren't you? I think the doctor even told you it might be a boy. It's unfortunate, isn't it? I hear there are still families who wish for a male heir from their in-laws. However, neither my mother-in-law nor Nathan seemed particularly eager for a boy. Although Nathan wanted to know the baby's gender, I honestly didn't mind either way. I've always dreamed of being the father of a daughter." Nathan was visibly upset. "Boys are smelly, dirty, and not cute at all. Why didn't you have a girl?" His harsh words made my blood boil. How could I choose that? Even if we tried to select the gender, it's not 100% guaranteed. This is our precious baby. The gender shouldn't matter. How can you say it doesn't matter? Damn it. Seriously, I don't need a boy." With that, Nathan stormed out of the hospital room. He didn't visit the hospital again after that, nor did he contact me, leaving me to be discharged alone. Being far from my parents' home, I reluctantly called my mother-in-law for a ride. Nathan was really looking forward to having a daughter. I can understand why he's upset. I explained the situation, but as expected, my mother-in-law took Nathan's side. "You're not going back to your parents, right? I can come and help if you like." "Thank you. I'll contact you if there's anything I need. I politely declined with a forced smile. It's a 30-minute drive from my in-laws. I'd rather handle parenting on our own, even if it's busier, than rely on my sarcastic mother-in-law. He's just sulking, he'll come around and start doting on the baby soon. I thought so, but I was naive. A hellish solo parenting life began. Before the birth, Nathan and I had fun choosing baby furniture online and reading articles and books about babies, wondering what our life would be like. But as soon as Nathan learned we had a boy, he seemed to lose interest. After I was discharged, he left everything from naming the baby to the daily care to me and abandoned us. Nathan, just hold Kevin for a bit. He's been crying non-stop, and I can't prepare meals or clean. Even when I begged him after he got home, Nathan wouldn't even look at Kevin and coldly replied, "You know I'm tired from work. Be more considerate. Dinner isn't ready? Then I'll eat out. Baby care is a mother's job, right? I'll overlook the mess at home. Just do the laundry, I need clean clothes." Kevin cried and cried, but Nathan just ignored him and played with his phone. No matter how much I asked, he wouldn't change diapers or handle baths or feedings. And of course, dealing with the night crying was out of the question. One evening, as I watched TV and Kevin started crying again, Nathan showed his irritation. "Man, it's so noisy. He's been crying non-stop. He seems sleepy, but he won't settle down even when I hold him. Why don't you take him for a walk? He'll stop crying." I was stunned. It's February, and it's 8 p.m. You want me to go for a walk when it's snowing? Are you serious? When I snapped at him, Nathan twisted his lips into a smirk. Driving would waste gas. It's cold, so he'll stop crying soon enough. Furious at such an unimaginable comment from a father, I grabbed the car keys while holding Kevin, slammed the living room door, and left the house. After driving around the neighborhood for a while with Kevin in the child's seat, I finally heard him breathing evenly from the back seat, which calmed me down. When I got home, I put him to bed in the crib, ignoring Nathan, who was laughing uproariously at the TV. On a day when my suspicions about Nathan were growing, he came home in the early afternoon. "You're home early today." As I fed Kevin his baby food, Nathan casually took off his jacket and said, "I quit my job." Huh? What? My eyes widened in disbelief. I've been thinking, I'm just not suited to be an office worker. Starting a company or working as a freelancer, using my talents. That's what fits me. From now on, I'm going to live freely without being tied down to a company. Nathan spoke with a self-satisfied look, leaving me speechless. Tentatively, I asked, "Do you have a job lined up then? I love driving, right? Plus, I won a writing contest in 3rd grade. I think I have talent. So, I'm going to wander around the country and write travel journals." Nathan's eyes sparkled with excitement, nearly making me faint. After 12 years in sales, he's switching to writing? Nathan hasn't even written a blog, the computer in his study is just for show. He's always been whimsical. Probably inspired by some internet articles. Don't look so worried. In 2 years, I'll be making over $100,000 a year. It's supposedly a job anyone can do. So with my overflowing talent, I'll definitely become a bestseller. I alternated my gaze between Kevin, who was grabbing food with his hands, and Nathan, who was lost in his monologue. I was planning to return to work after Kevin turned 1, but never imagined I'd end up supporting an unemployed husband. That afternoon. First, I need to get the right environment set up. Nathan cheerfully went to buy the latest model computer at an electronics store. While I was putting Kevin to bed and washing the dishes, my mother-in-law called. Reluctantly, I answered the phone. "Hello? What have you been telling him?" My mother-in-law started yelling at me right away. "I don't understand what you mean. He could have had a secure life in that company. Going from an $80,000 annual salary to suddenly being unemployed is unthinkable." That's exactly what I'd like to say. It's because you focus only on the baby that Nathan got stressed and quit his job. A wife's duty is to support her husband, you failure. If you have complaints, please talk to him. I'm busy, so I'm going to hang up now. While my mother-in-law was still ranting, I hung up the phone and ignored her calls and messages for a while. Although I was furious with selfish Nathan, I resolved to work diligently for Kevin's sake. I hoped Nathan might reflect a little when he saw me working hard on housework and childcare, but it was in vain. Nathan locked himself in his study, fiddling with the computer, or would suddenly say, "I'm going on a trip," and leave without contact. Only to return days later. So, I couldn't leave Kevin with him and had to use the daycare at work that also took care of sick children, working as hard as I could. At this point, it felt more like single motherhood than solo parenting. Balancing full-time work with raising a young child was tough. But sharing childcare concerns with colleagues who also had young kids helped boost my spirits. My salary paid for the writing courses Nathan took, and after a few years, he managed to earn $300. However, our household finances still depended solely on my income. Nathan didn't contribute his earnings to the household but used it as pocket money. Even the gas money was coming from me. One day, Nathan returned from a trip in a bright red sports car. What? Where did this car come from? I fell in love with it and bought it. Only $50,000 for this beauty, it's a steal. I was nearly floored. $50,000. Yeah, I got bored with the other car after 2 years. This one's my new buddy. A writer has to have a cool car, right? I held my temples while forcing a smile and asked. Wait a minute. How did you pay for this? You have no savings, right? Don't worry, it's an 84-month loan. You can afford $600 a month, right? I'll be a bestseller soon, so just pay it for me until then. I was stunned at first, but slowly anger started to boil inside me. How can I afford $600 a month? We're already barely making ends meet. Whose fault do you think it is that we're struggling financially? Then, Nathan twisted his face and retorted. Money, money, money. You're so shallow. When did you become like this? Support your husband's dreams more. You're too pragmatic, it's boring. With that, Nathan hurled his anger at me and retreated to his room. Is Daddy back? Kevin, who had just woken up from his nap, stretched and asked me. Yes, he seems busy with work and went straight to his room. Say welcome back when he comes down, okay? Okay. Hey, Mommy. How long is Daddy going to be at home? Well, I'll ask him later. Kevin's sad smile tugged at my heart. Even after Kevin started going to daycare, Nathan wouldn't interact with him and continued his cold demeanor. Nathan would respond if Kevin spoke to him but never initiated conversation or made eye contact. I wondered if it might be better to divorce if this continued. On the other hand, I worried about how Kevin would feel if he knew he was the reason for our divorce. It was hard to make that decision. It had been 15 years since Nathan suddenly quit his job. His monthly income was still just a few $100s. The reason for his stagnant salary was clear. Nathan had mastered the computer and discovered the joy of online gaming. Work was secondary to his gaming habits. On the rare occasions he did make a significant amount of money, he quickly spent it on game credits. And the rest disappeared on clothes and nights out at nightclubs. If he ever brought home a gift, he would brag about it for a while. Those cookies I bought the other day were delicious, right? It's because I'm doing this job that we can enjoy such tasty stuff. You should be more grateful. After finally paying off the sports car loan, I was relieved for a moment, but Nathan quickly sold it and switched to another new car. Of course, I protested initially. Please put some money towards living expenses. Since he's a father, maybe spend more time at home. Cut back on spending so much on hobbies, and so on. Then Nathan would become furious, his forehead vein bulging. You're mocking me for my low salary. You think you're better than me. No. I just wish you'd act more like a father. I spoke patiently, but Nathan responded angrily, his tone harsh. Next year, I'll definitely be making $100,000. Then I'll have more freedom, and I can spend time at home and contribute financially. Just stop nagging and wait until then. After many such exchanges, I gradually became tired of arguing and recently gave up on discussions. Perhaps as a reaction to his father, Kevin grew up to be a straightforward and good boy. He always cared for me when I returned home tired from work. He helped with household chores, and sometimes I would wake from a nap on the sofa to find a blanket over me. Or he would surprise me on my birthday or Mother's Day with a homemade dinner and a bouquet of flowers. One evening, while I was preparing dinner, I heard the front door open. I thought Kevin was back from school, but then I heard Nathan's voice. It sounded like he was talking to someone. Maybe a guest? I thought, removing my apron to greet them, but I froze. Nathan was cozied up with a young woman holding a baby. "Hi," I managed to say. The woman was dressed revealingly and wore heavy makeup. Nathan must have met her at the nightclub he frequented. But why did he bring her to our home? As the woman entered the house with Nathan, she pinched her nose and made her way straight to the kitchen, looking into the pots. With a pitiful smile and a nasal voice, she complained. "Ugh, it smells like garlic. Nathan, it's going to get into my clothes." "Sorry, Chelsea." "Hey, Olivia. Do something about it." "It's okay, I'll endure it." "Is dinner this soup? What a pathetic meal." "Hey, Nathan. Remember that delicious full-course dinner at the fancy restaurant?" The woman bragged smugly, and Nathan's eyes crinkled with pride. "Yeah, that place is great. My wife here only makes these cheap meals. It suits her, right?" "Oh, Nathan, really?" I contained my rising irritation as the two of them laughed raucously. Thanks to his meager salary, I haven't been able to enjoy a fancy restaurant dinner in 15 years. I swallowed the words I almost spat out and asked Nathan. And who might this be?" The woman, with a challenging look, replied cheerily. "Nice to meet you, I'm Chelsea. I'm Nathan's wife." "Hey, you're getting ahead of yourself," Nathan said, looking at Chelsea and the baby with a silly grin. "This is my lover, Chelsea, and our child. She gave birth to a girl for me. Isn't she cute? She even has Nathan's nose." The baby, dressed in pink, was cradled in Chelsea's arms and stared at me with round eyes. "Oh, is that so? And what can I do for you?" I asked coolly, to which Nathan smirked. "I'm giving you the son. We're getting a divorce." He declared it loudly. "I'll come back to pick up a petition for divorce of marriage in a week. Make sure you've prepared it by then. Nathan got tired of you. I'm taking your place," Chelsea arrogantly claimed, despite being the mistress. "Nathan, where are you going? This is your home, isn't it? I don't want to live with you anymore. I'll come back after you and Kevin have left." His reasoning was outrageously self-serving. They left, laughing loudly. And the loud exhaust of the modified sports car faded into the distance. Stunned, I finally came to my senses. A fierce anger bubbled up within me. He abandoned his role as a father just because his child was born a boy. He quit his job on a whim, spent his meager earnings on himself. And now he wants a divorce because he has a mistress and a child? Don't mess with me. My blood was boiling. Enough is enough. How selfish can you be? I clenched my fists. If that's how he wants it, I have plans of my own. You've had your way until now, but you're going to pay for everything. A week later, Nathan returned with Chelsea. But this time, the baby wasn't with them. Probably anticipating a confrontation, they must have left her with someone else. When Kevin answered the door, Nathan showed a hint of discomfort. "Hello. Nice to meet you. I'm going to be your mom soon." Ignoring Chelsea's overly enthusiastic greeting, Kevin looked straight at Nathan. "Dad, you're home. Shouldn't you say I'm back?" Nathan frowned and ignored Kevin's comment. He led Chelsea by the hand to the dining table and sat her next to himself. As I was making coffee, Nathan spoke roughly. "I don't need coffee. Just give me the petition for divorce of marriage." Well, it's going to be a long discussion. You'll want something to drink," I said with a smile, placing 4 cups of coffee on the table. Nathan and Kevin faced each other, with Chelsea opposite me, as we all took our seats. Kevin, being a junior high school student in his 3rd year, was old enough to understand, so I decided to tell him everything. After moistening my throat with coffee, I simply told Nathan. "I didn't make the petition. Hey, hey. You don't want to divorce me that badly, huh? Nathan grinned, while Kevin looked at him with disdain. You can't divorce Mom. Because the total cost for 2 new cars, $80,000. You still haven't paid me back. Nathan's face went pale. Don't think you've forgotten. When exactly are you going to repay me? I covered all of it. That's right, Dad. And how are you planning to support yourself if you remarry this woman? Kevin chuckled. Since you've been living off Mom's income, maybe you should wait to divorce until you can support yourself. Nathan flustered severely. Chelsea, wide-eyed, looked at Nathan's profile. What? What are they talking about, Nathan? What's this all about? It's just family stuff. You don't need to know. Nathan stammered, and I presented him with printed payment statements. Look, this is for the previous car, the 84-month payment plan. And this one is for the new car's payments. Chelsea, do you understand? All of these were paid from my credit card. Chelsea checked the statements and tilted her head, puzzled. Why didn't you pay them yourself? I thought you make $100,000 a year as a section chief at Jones Corporation. Kevin and I burst out laughing simultaneously. Seriously? You're still carrying around a business card from 15 years ago? That's practically fraud. Your current job title is unemployed. We laughed so hard we nearly rolled on the floor. No. I'm a freelance writer. You mean a so-called travel web writer, right? Earning less than a high schooler's part-time job. Used to be $80,000 a year. Now about $4,000, right? Chelsea's eyes widened. What? Just $4,000? That's right, look here. Ah, stupid. I opened my bank account statement and showed it to Chelsea. Each month, there were deposits of $400 or $500, all from the same company name, which left Chelsea speechless. So, the brand clothes you're wearing now, those shiny leather shoes, even that luxury sports car, did your wife buy all those? And all the meals you've treated me to were with your wife's money. That's right, look at this. I leaned forward and showed Chelsea the credit card bills. He's been using it without my permission because I hardly use it. I'll pay it back later. It's no big deal, we're family. Nathan shouted loudly. In 2 or 3 years, I'll be making over $100,000 a year. Chelsea, you believe in me, unlike these two, right? Chelsea gave a vague smile. Nathan said the same thing when Kevin was a baby. 15 years later, nothing has changed. Next to me, Kevin nodded. Nathan, you can live together or remarry her if you want. Just make sure you settle the debts for the new car and the unauthorized card use. And don't forget, separate from that, you owe child support for me, Kevin added. Quiet. I get it. Nathan shouted back and turning back to Chelsea. So, Chelsea. You'll lend me the money to repay Olivia, right? Can you give me a moment to think, Nathan? Chelsea's face twisted uncomfortably. I thought it was a reasonable reaction. What? I'll pay it back later, right? We're going to be married, so it's fine. Nathan is trying to push his absurd logic on a hesitant Chelsea. With a laugh of disbelief, I picked up my phone. Now, time to start the second phase of my revenge. By the way, about that hotel he visited for his report. Did you go along, Chelsea? When I spoke cheerfully, Chelsea awkwardly looked away, but Nathan, completely unabashed, grinned. The scenery was beautiful, it was a great place. That's good to hear. You really get it. I said, smiling sweetly at Chelsea. Look, my cousin owns that hotel. He sent me some photos because you two were there together, wanting to let me know about the affair. I opened the photo app and touched the file, placing my phone in the center of the table so everyone could see. That's right. Oh, who is this person with you, Chelsea? Huh? Chelsea stiffened as she peered at the image. Next to her, Nathan, adopting the same posture, quickly turned into a fiendish expression. Chelsea, who is this? Hey. It's an invasion of privacy to take photos without permission. Chelsea burst out, to which I smiled gently. I'm sorry. My cousin couldn't stand my husband's infidelity and ended up taking quite a few pictures. Ah, meddling unnecessarily. Nathan, it was just an acquaintance I happened to meet. Don't worry about it. Chelsea tried to lean on Nathan's arm, which he shrugged off. Chelsea said she wanted to go, so I made the reservation. At that point, Nathan suddenly tensed. Now that I think about it, you weren't there when I woke up in the middle of the night. Don't tell me you went to this guy's room? No, it's not like that. He's really just an acquaintance. Chelsea kept repeating her excuses, making me almost laugh. I took a large envelope from the end of the table and spread several photos across it. Chelsea seemed shocked, covering her mouth and letting out a shriek. These were photos sent to me last year. The scene showed a heavily pregnant Chelsea closely snuggling up to a man as they left a maternity clinic. Hey. I just asked him to accompany me. Trust me, Nathan. Nathan uttered a menacing voice, and Chelsea clasped her hands together, desperately making excuses. I read from the report I had pulled from the envelope. It was a parenting class that day. If you're going to have someone accompany you, it should definitely be the father. Oh. Isn't this the baby from the other day? Wasn't it Nathan's child? Chelsea fell silent, and I smirked. This man, the father of the child, cheated on her and ran away after the birth. That's terrible. Poor Chelsea. As I sneered, Nathan shouted in defense of Chelsea. Chelsea wouldn't do such a thing. Come on, the father of that child is another man? That can't be. I'm sorry. Chelsea apologized in a weak voice. Nathan froze for a moment, his face reddening with anger and shame. So, you lied about it being my child to force me into marriage? Don't mess with me. Nathan yelled at her, and Chelsea shouted back just as fiercely. What? You yourself were drowning in debt and being supported by your wife while lying to me. I have no reason to listen to your complaints. Then Chelsea turned her anger towards me. You're awful too. You knew he was cheating and you let him do it? That's right. I've been watching my husband do as he pleases for 15 years. I plan to hit him with undeniable proof. I said with a sardonic smile. My phone kept getting love messages meant for someone else. He suddenly started dressing up, and he came home reeking of women's perfume. It was all too obvious. Kevin crossed his arms and nodded. When you're at home, you're in such a good mood. I mean, how can you cheat when mom has done so much for you? What kind of nerve do you have? Kevin's face showed deep disdain. I wanted to check out the background of your lover, so I hired a detective agency. They ended up giving me a bunch of extra photos. So I thought I'd share them with you. I told Chelsea and Nathan, loaded with sarcasm. That's right, you always say you're not the type to be bossed around by superiors. Funny you should say that. Considering you were fired for misconduct. Nathan's eyes widened. How did you know that? I heard it from the acquaintance who introduced you to us. I said with a sneer. You invited new employees out for drinks, and on the way home in the taxi, you touched them. They complained to their supervisor, and you got fired. It was only right. Nathan trembled violently. They're exaggerating. It was just a touch over their clothes, and I was drunk. It's not a big deal, nothing was lost. That's despicable, Dad. Kevin said coldly. When I heard that, I felt unbearable. I thought, what a shameful person. It was maybe even more shocking than not being cared for. Really, what do you think of women? Nathan, so you were that kind of person. Gross. Chelsea said, looking at him as if he were something filthy. Hey. I don't want to hear that from someone who tried to pin another man's child on me. Nathan glared sharply at Chelsea. I'm better than what you're doing. Both are the same. The new employees you harassed are planning to sue you, so be prepared, I added. Nathan looked shocked. Huh? Over that? They're not satisfied with just firing you. They've suffered emotional distress and want compensation, I explained. Nathan's eyes widened in disbelief. There's no way I have that kind of money. He yelled, his face turning bright red, which caused Kevin to look disheartened. Dad, you need to take responsibility for what you've done, Kevin said. Poor Nathan, no amount of money seems enough for you. I said with pity, then turned my gaze to Chelsea. Well, Chelsea, if you still want him, he's all yours. I don't want him. What an old man. Chelsea stood up forcefully. I thought he was a division manager at a major corporation with a salary of $100,000 a year, and that's why I wanted him to be the father. She glared at Nathan and rattled on rapidly. But in reality, he's just a liar with a high pride who's been supported by his wife. He's got a bad track record with women and is covered in debt. What a waste of my time. Give me back my time. That's my line. Nathan stood up and shouted back. I don't need a woman who cheats with other men. Don't ever show your face to me again. Then let's break up. Goodbye. Chelsea stormed out of the house, her shoulders tense with anger. As Nathan watched her leave from the doorway and then collapsed to his knees. He sobbed and muttered resentments. It's terrible, Chelsea. You said you loved me, and then you were with another younger man. No man would want another man's child. I scolded Nathan as he hung his head in sorrow. You're facing this because you abandoned your role as Kevin's father but wanted a child with your mistress. Children aren't accessories, you know? Think about Kevin's feelings for once. It's okay, Mom. I don't consider him my father anymore. Kevin said with a sad smile. Also, I've regarded him merely as a roommate for a long time now. Glancing sideways at my pitiful husband slumped on the floor and sniffling, I sighed deeply. I've really had enough, Nathan. From now on, let's communicate through a lawyer. I told him sternly. I've covered the cost of 2 cars and the unauthorized use of my card. Once everything is deposited into my account, I will file the petition for divorce of marriage. There's no way I can pay all at once. Since you haven't prepared the petition yet, we could just not get divorced. Nathan, as if struck by a brilliant idea, lit up his tear-stained face. That way, I can save on child support. Come on, Olivia, I was wrong. Let's start over. I reflexively shoved away the hand he extended towards me. Don't joke with me. After Nathan persistently trying to reason with me, I, along with Kevin, eventually kicked him out of the house. After the divorce, Nathan, having been thrown out of the house, went crying to his mother, who, caring deeply about public image, was furious about her son's infidelity and disowned him. Nathan then moved into a cheap apartment and started working seriously for the first time in 15 years. At the age of 50, he found it hard to secure a permanent sales position, so he ended up in a physical labor job, daily scolded by younger supervisors. Later, after being sued by the new employees, Nathan settled the lawsuit by paying a settlement, which he funded by selling his luxury sports car. However, the funds raised were nowhere near enough to cover the unauthorized my card and the cost of the first car I had paid for, forcing him to accrue more debt to settle these. No matter how much he worked, chasing after repayments to me likely left him with little to no money for himself. Chelsea, who had gotten pregnant by a customer. She was fired for breaking the rules and moved back to her parents' house. However, after giving birth, she was disowned by her own parents too. Now, she leaves her baby at a daycare while working at a different nightclub on weekdays and part-timing at a restaurant on weekends, harsh days indeed. The child support for Kevin is deposited into my account every month. We have contracted through a lawyer that if there is any delay, we will immediately sue. Now in his first year of high school, Kevin is aiming to become a pharmacist and is diligently studying in a college prep class. When I graduate from university, I'll make sure you can relax, Mom. Just wait and see. He said with a smile, earning his own spending money through part-time jobs between his studies. Compared to the days I fretted over Nathan's debts, working to save for his college feels almost enjoyable. Moving forward, I look forward to spending fulfilling days with my kind and reliable son.